Okay, that was interesting. All right, well, welcome to the party. It's late, but you know what? It's time to do something. So on my test server, where actually I'm running kind of this live, I'm actually running into a few performance issues on some of the pages where I'm just loading a ton of stuff. So it's time to start putting some pagination into things. So I've actually never worked with Pagy before, but I know it comes super highly recommended. So we're going to figure that out together. All right. So looking at just a chat thread here, there's something like 15 or 20 messages, and this loads perfectly fine. But we're gonna use that as our test bed. All right. So let's clear out some of the stuff that's here, and let's get into it. Yeah. So Pagy is a great gem. It comes very highly recommended. So we're gonna be checking that out. So we're just do a bundle add Pagy, and I've got a few notes to be taking a look at. So if we check the docs, all right. We're not gonna worry about this too much right now. Pagy backend into application controller. All right, so we'll get that. That's easy enough. And an application helper. All right, and our terminal, we're going to want to kill it and bin dev again to get that back up. Should I bundle in that? I did. All right. And some of the stuff that I was looking at recommends also doing one other small tweak. So we're actually going to make an initializer here, and we're going to include countless. And we're going to bounce the server again. I can check to make sure I bundled that. I think I did. Yeah. All right. So with that set up, we'll go into, so what we're looking at for our first test place is on the activities. And this is on the person activities. So if we go over to people, and if we look at the let's close these things up. If we go to people, show, we've got our that's interesting. So the controller is not actually in control of the activities that we're showing. And that's happening because we want to be able to put in the pinned and the non-pinned activities. All right, so we're passing in this activities here, so we're not going to be able to follow this exactly. So that's interesting. I'll have to think about that. So actually, I'm going to take a step back, and I'm going to put this onto the people instead. So, we're going to be putting it here. So if I look at the people index and the people controller, that's where we're going to start with. So in here, so we're looking at Pagy countless. That's going to give us our Pagy and our people. And in here, we're going to be doing user.people. And I'm actually curious. Am I doing... I'm doing an order here. So let's pull that up here. And we're going to be doing this 5 at a time, which is going to be great for forcing us to kind of handle this. So we'll pull that in. Great. So then in our index, we are going to be polymorphic on the people. So if we reload this now, we should be getting 5. And we want to have a load more type button. So to do that, let's throw in after the table something like this. So button next, Pagy URL for Pagy next. And let's see what that gives us. So a nice ugly button, and if we inspect it, we can see that we're getting a form we're going to be posting with page 2. Okay, so for that, on our people, we're going to want to do, and we want to accept on the collection, we're going to want to be able to take in that post. So we want to post on the index. So what's neat with this, so if we reload, if we go next, this doesn't work. Why are you not working? Actually, I know why you're not working. Well, it's actually doing the right thing, which is good, but we're gonna want to do, we're gonna do a data turbo stream false for right now. All right, let's see if this works now. Still nothing. What are you doing? That's putting that onto the form. But, well, let's just fix it properly then. So what's happening here is that if we're submitting the form as a turbo stream, so if we look at, we refresh this, and next, we can see that we are posting the people control index as turbo stream, and what we're going to want to actually do here is change that up a little bit. So if we go into our controller, so in here we're going to do the respond to do format. So when we first hit this page, we're going to be doing a normal HTML. And that's just going to be doing the normal, that's going to be happening when we do our GET request. But because we're posting to the server, TurboStream is going to take over, and it's going to do it's going to be doing the separate TurboStream for that. So in here, we can now do a index.html index.turbostream.erb. So in here, we're going to want to do a turbo stream.append. So this is going to be appending to something. I don't know what yet. And what are we going to be appending? So when we append, kind of like on the index, we're going to do the polymorphic render of the people. So that's going to append all of those people to the people DOM. But that doesn't have that ID yet. So in here, we want to put a ID of people. Sure. So we're going to put this onto people. All right. Let's see where this gets us. So if we refresh, if we next it, and we next it, all right. Except this next button is just getting page 2, page 2, page 2. So we also want to replace the button. Turbo stream dot replace, and this is going to be, I don't know, the people, the next people button. And if we look what we're doing there, that's going to be this. But we're going to put that ID in there. And we're going to put the ID down there as well. So let's reload the page. So if we go next, we get the next page. Support at micro. Okay. Basecamp. Okay, that's interesting. That did a page. That did a reload. Why did you do that? So if I go people, this next link is going to be. So the ID is on the button here, not on the form. So for that, is this let me just check this. Button to all right, name options, HTML options, form. That's what we're looking for. So we want to do form ID. And we'll pull that over. And let's try that. Let's inspect what we got going on. So the form ID is next people button. Beautiful. So if I next it, we get the base camp. If I next, Battlesnake, Bridget. All right, that's working. Cool. All right. So let's do a quick change on this. So instead of this being items 5, let's make this items 50. Let's go to the people path. Next. So 50. Ryan. TPS. So we're getting something weird going on there. Okay, this is happening because we only have 2 pages worth of stuff. That's why. So if we look at this, so when we replace this, we only want to do this if pagy.next.present. And that's going to apply to both. Because if we did, so if we change this to, I don't know, 500. So it's going to keep on doing that second page. So if we make this here to only, all right, so if we do that and reload, we don't get the next button. Perfect. All right, let's drop this back down to something reasonable for testing purposes still. So we're going to do it 5 at a time. And next. All right, we're good. Okay. So that's nice. That worked well. But we can do better. So for this, what we're going to do in here is at the bottom of the index, so I'm just trying to think how we want this structurally. Just check my notes here for a moment. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to grab this and pull that up into the table. All right. So if it has a next link, instead of doing the button, so actually I'm going to keep that here as well. So here, I'm going to add a turbo frame tag. And this is going to be giving it an ID of something like people, page, and we'll do at Pagy .next. And for this, we're going to do lazy loading. And what that means is that the content of this frame, we're not going to actually load until, actually, I might actually be doing that wrong, sorry. I am going to put it down here. So I'm going to just comment that out. So in here, I'm going to do this. So it's going to be loading lazy. We're going to target I think the way that we want to do this is have this target top, especially if I can type. And the source for this is going to be the Pagy URL for at Pagy.next. All right. I think that's going to work. Let's see. Oop. Pagy.next. Woohoo. Auto scrolling. All right. So that's not quite what we want. So what's happening here is it's putting that that's going into the bottom. And what's happening is, so let me check and see what this is giving us on the network. If I reload the page. Actually, is it so yeah, I ran through it's uploading all of them. Okay. So that is not what we want. Let's be clear. So what's going on here? So what is the actual... So turbo frame tag, it's getting an ID of whatever. It's going to load it lazily. So yeah, I don't want this to actually redirect to the top. So let's remove that. Okay. Oop. if Pagy, and let's clean up our code properly. So that is still auto scrolling. Okay. What is going on here? All right, so if it's present, yep. Then we're going to put the turbo frame tag here, yep. That's going to load the next page. So is this hitting the turbo action? That's a lot of server requests going on. All right, so P as HTML. Okay, that's why. So it's not hitting our turbo stream. That's why. And it's okay. So, and let me check and see what this looks like. So we've got all of our table rows. We don't have. Okay, so let's actually bump this up to the controller. Let's bump this up to something like 25. So that's it. It's going to. That's. Oh. Is that not getting lazy? Let's push this down even further. Make sure it's definitely not on top. Why is that? So this is why people will pre-record, because you skip over all the fun, frustrating stuff. So let's do this actually. Let's go in here and let's disable JavaScript for a sec. Let's go to the people page. So let's see what's actually here in the DOM. Why are so turbo frame is not a valid table element, which means that it's going to be put above it because it kind of gets blown out there, of course. So let's get that and let's move that back outside. That's gonna at least put it at the right spot. So we're not gonna go crazy with just loading everything immediately. So there's problem one number fixed. Problem number one fixed. All right. So we're on page 0. Let's take a look. Make sure that we're getting the right stuff. Turbo frame loading lazy, which is now working properly. Source is going to be people 2. Target is going to be top, which of that we're not going to be wanting. But let's do that. So if we scroll down. Okay, so this is now auto loading when we get to the bottom. So that's good. That's working correctly, but it is. So we want to probably have it targeting the people. Let's see if that works. So if we go back to the people. Now. All right. So when we do a turbo, so yeah, let me think. The problem here is a turbo frame tag. Let me look at the docs on this. Source is going to be that. Target top. Yeah, because that's going to try and swap it out, but we actually don't want it to be swapping out. We want to do this. We basically want to be auto-clicking. So I don't know if just doing a straight turbo frame tag is what we want here. Let me check the turbo dot hotwire. Eager loading frames. That's not what we want. The target is probably. Brief on navigation, we adjust that frame. This is true for the following links. As many forms, the the entire page. So it goes frame, at the top. We're driving a name frame. We send the target to the ID of that frame. See, we don't actually want to be doing frames on this. We want this. Data turbo frame. This means show. Yeah, so we actually don't want to be doing that. We really need to be doing the. That's unfortunate, right? So we want this. Yeah, we're gonna have to do the turbo stream on this. Can I? All right. So what I'm trying to do is when I lazy load this turbo frame, I want it to. I want this ideally to do a. I want this to submit it as a turbo stream request. That's what I'm wondering. Turbo frame tag format turbo stream. Turbo frame request. Source. Yep, this is what I want. I love that. Let's see. Based on turbo. Okay. Yeah, so I can just do that, it looks like. So in here, source. Is that going to work? Let's find out. It's funny because that's where I was going to be. Oop. Source is Pagy URL for. So let me see where that's coming from. So if we probably look in, so in our application helper, which is where we're probably pulling that in, that's doing Pagy front end. Front end, Pagy, Pagy extras, standalone. All right. Pagy URL 4, Pagy page absolute HTML escape false. Pagy page absolute false, HTML escape false. Does this give me items, dash clone, Pagy on all. So again, the vars URL, Pagy.vars. Let's do a quick search. 194 closed. Nice on ya. Pagy URL for format. Nothing. How about format and reverse? All right. Nothing there. Let's read. Front end, Pagy. So that Pagy function is where we're gonna. And what are we doing for ours? Because we're doing something different. We were doing, what was it? People controller is Pagy countless. And docs and countless. Heads plus one. Thirds. I'm looking to see if there's anything where I can pass in vars. I doubt that's going to do anything. We can't do that there. Turbo stream and on index. All right. So what I actually have to do is actually look into this more detailed. So Pagy countless, countless pairs. Pagy is countless.new, countless collection. So we're gonna return Pagy in the pound items. Okay. Page account, let's get various collection vars, which is that. Settings from params, vars defined extra items, extra vars page equals params. Yep. Vars. Okay. So we're making a new countless. So require page countless and all right. Page countless. Page. What's going on here? Pagy. Oh, there we go. Initialize, normalize var, set up var, finalize, series. This extends Pagy. All right. So if we look at page items, offset size, page params. Params. So I wonder if that's what I can do. If I can go into our controller and do params like that. People format equals foobar, close. Oh, stream. I don't think that's going to work. Oop, it did it. Did that just work? That might have just worked. Aha! All right, so if I come in here and let's just check, I'm going to, let's change this back down to something like 10. If I go people, let's do it even less. All right, so it automatically loaded that, but it didn't load more. It just loaded one page worth. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got loading people page 2, and that didn't get updated. So, all right. So we want to make this be updating the replace next people button. All right. So we actually have something working here then. All right. So we are going to call this the next people button. Loading lazy. Target is people, which I think at this point I can get rid of. We'll see. Well, it's not change anything right now. So if there's more pages, we're going to stick in this here. It's going to be lazy loading. It's going to be loading whatever the next page is. And then we're going to do the same thing over here on the turbo stream side. All right, so we're going to replace that next button with a new turbo frame. That's the new next people, losing that, and it's going to get the next page. So if we're lucky, loads page 1, loads page 2, and infinite scroll. And what we can do for the funsies is let's just in here, we'll do a render index. So this should change nothing. Yep, we're still good. And let's, on here, we're going to do a sleep, just so we can see that it's doing. We'll say sleep 2. 1, 2, boom. 1, 2, more loads. 1, 2, good. And in here, what we can do is change this into a do. And here, loading more. Loading more, boom, which just looks awful, but that's okay. This is showing that it works. Yay. I thought we could get away with not having to do anything crazy. Cool. And yeah, this lets me load the whole list. All right. So what needs to be changed here? So I think we need to extract some of this to kind of make it a little bit more systemized. That's cool. Not a big deal, but that is a good starting spot. This is loading more. We're going to want to extract some of these things because they're going to basically be putting it everywhere. Yeah. And let's bump this to 25, something a little more reasonable. And there we go. All right, so for our main navigation pages, that's going to be working. That gives us what we need to be able to do that. Now I'm getting it. So, okay, so let's commit this in. Where are we at for time? 42 minutes. Okay, I'm gonna call it quits here. But here's what I think we need to do. So for the activities, what's going to be happening is this turbo frame tag. This is going to be so when we render the index page, we're gonna actually, yeah. So this, I think, if we take this out. And we take this out. And let's try this again. Yep, that's working. So that we don't care what we're actually targeting at this point. So this means that if we do we'll be able to, when we're looking at a person, we're going to be paginating on the activities. So that means that we can still re-render that page, and that's going to still be working just fine. That Pagy component, we kind of just continue as is. So, yeah, it's almost like just a different render path for things. So let's get this up. All right, so we added Pagy, we added the post on the index. We're using Pagy. We're pulling in Pagy. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. All right. Okay. So, actually, let's keep that handy. So if we look at the index turbo stream and the show and the activities. Okay. So I think what we can do here is these activities are kind of always going to want to be there. So on our people show dot turbo frame turbo stream dot erb. That's where we're going to end up hitting. So on our show for our activities, we're going to want to do the same thing as we did on the, we're going to want to be doing this. That type of concept. So in activities, see, I don't like that we're passing this down here into the activities. But I do want to keep it isolated. So yeah, maybe we can just spend a little more time thinking about this. So what I'm struggling with is that I want this to be a kind of a partial that I can just drop in. But because I'm going to be doing the activities on kind of everywhere. But what I probably want to do is kind of pull that up into a separate thing. That way the controller can manage it. So I want to make kind of like an activity list or something like that. Yeah, so I'm going to think a little bit more about that, and then actually be rendering out an activity list, which is going to have your pinned and your subset. Yeah, so I guess for now I'm actually going to stop, and I'll tackle this kind of when I've got a better idea what exactly I want to be doing. Yeah, because what I want to kind of be doing likely is making a new model, which is going to be an activity list, something like that. And this is going to have and actually what could be interesting with this is that I could do something in here for defining it's too partial. If I did that, then I can take advantage of some of the automatic stuff, and in the controller, that's where I could do something to kind of pull that out and just automatically still render it, which would give us kind of a lot of those benefits. Yeah, and then I can make the activity list really be, the activities really be focused on the activity list, the activities itself, as opposed to kind of what I've done right now is kind of that activities partial is doing a lot of responsibility inside the activities namespace. So I wonder if doing this gives me a better place to pull out, kind of pull out that functionality. But that's I think that's probably a good place to stop. I'm going to let that percolate, and that's probably what we'll pick up next time. All right. So I think